Sky's the limit, the truth is on our side. There's no time for worry, let's show the world our pride. Whether another comes up with a surprise, we all will discover where our fate will lie. On a blue wave, we rise to save the day. Only me, only you can let our hearts sail away on a blue wave.
And welcome to episode 46 of TruBlu Politics Podcast. I am joined by my co-host, Anita. Hey, Anita.
Hi, Karen.
So this week, we are absolutely honored and thrilled to be joined by Frank Figliuzzi, former law enforcement agent and author who served as assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI, was previously the special agent in charge of the FBI investigations Cleveland division, and is senior national security and intelligence analyst for NBC and MSNBC News. Welcome, Frank.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Glad we could do it. But, you know, it's been so boring lately, Karen, that I'm not sure we have anything to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about.
I don't know what we're going to spend this whole hour or 45 minutes.
Really? Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So, I was lucky enough to meet you the last week on our Zoom call, and you were so gracious to join us and answer all of our questions to the best of your ability, given that nothing is normal. And so we're all kind of, I think, in the same boat. You know, we're all trying to figure out how to navigate this time. So, we really appreciate you being here and just kind of giving your take on what we're witnessing, giving some context and understanding about how it's supposed to operate versus what's happening right now. But I did want to start because, of course, I'm in Chicago and have been at the Broadview ICE detention facility, literally walking distance from my home, and just kind of navigating. I mean, we've had counter protesters coming over and filming us. We've had ICE agents with their phones out, taking our pictures and, taking going into vehicles, inspecting vehicles that are at the protests, getting license plate numbers and things like that. So it's kind of a intimidating time right now for all of us out here that are trying to help out and answer the call of our governor here in Illinois, Governor Pritzker. So I did want to play a clip of Governor Pritzker yesterday speaking with MSNBC correspondent Jacob. So I always say his name wrong. Soboroff. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and start there.
People here of the state of Illinois, the people of the city of Chicago, as this incursion by the federal government, these troops are on the streets of your state, of this city. What do you want them to do? There's a big protest scheduled for 5:30 p.m. tonight.
Well, first, we've made sure that people know their rights and they know how to find out what their rights are, because we don't want them picked up off the streets just because they're brown or black, just because they happen to be undocumented and have committed no crimes. Remember, he said he was going after the worst of the worst. It's not going after the worst of the worst when you're just literally stopping children who happen to be brown and asking them for papers as if, they're going to have proof that they're a U.S. citizen. So first, know your rights. Second, we want everybody to pull out their phones, an Android, an iPhone, whatever you've got, and film everything you see, because we take that to court. We also show it to the public. And it's one of the reasons that so many people are speaking up and acting up in order to fight Donald Trump, because they're seeing this is not the country that we grew up in. This is not the country that we want. And so that's very important. And then lastly, again, we got to take them to court. We got to win. It looks like we're going to do that.
So that was our governor yesterday. And so with that,
my governor is sending the National Guard there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So given that, and we saw, the way things are supposed to operate, post January 6th, where there were posts on social media by the FBI asking for tips, giving information for a tip line. Do you know this person, right? And that resulted in over 1,500 insurrectionists being apprehended and indicted and tried for their crimes, or, just being at they had due process, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And so given that fact, now we're being asked as citizens to document what we're seeing with these clearly illegal apprehensions of our fellow citizens without probable cause, without warrants, by people in gaiters. So once we have that information, what are we supposed to do with that? Who do we send that to? Is there potentially a shadow FBI that would be doing this collection for later on, if and when we get out of this?
Okay, so there are, no, I'm not aware of any shadow FBI that is taking in information for later usage against these folks. I am aware of private organizations, and they're out there and including, by the way, really good media organizations, often non-traditional media.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd look for those in your area around the country. And yeah, they're taking in information. You need to ensure before you press send on any photos or video that you're dealing with that legit organization. Do I think there'll be someday accountability for some of these folks? Almost like the Nuremberg trials, where they'll try to say I was following orders, and we'll try to say we really don't care about your orders because they were unlawful and you knew better. You took an oath. We are seeing a 5-alarm fire raging rapidly out of control. The fire department comes in the form of the courts. But, what really bothers me, you kind of, in your intro, you said, hey, we'll talk about how things should work. 25 years for me at the FBI. I know how federal law enforcement should work. It's not working that way anymore. I'm particularly upset by, speaking of videos, that the videos we see of so-called federal agents slamming people to the ground, that seemingly for nothing more than maybe yelling at them, standing in front of them. And even, I think what's even equally upsetting is the techniques I'm seeing, so-called techniques, for taking someone down, is not at all what federal agents are trained for in terms of how to do that in a smart way.
These guys aren't trained, right? You can tell they're not trained.
This, you're right. So this raises the next, you see where I'm going here. This raises the question in my mind, since, there's one video out there of an alleged agent, and I'll get to alleged in a minute, grabbing someone in the throat. He tells them to move back. They don't, or they step back slightly. He gets annoyed. He grabs this person by the throat with one hand, the crotch with another, and tries to take him down. I can tell you that not only is that not how you're trained, but it's actually not particularly effective. So when I look at that with my background, I ask myself a couple of questions. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not going to suggest that we've got people posing. We've got people brought.
We do have people posing as that. Yeah.
Well, but I want to hear more about that, of course. But what I want to be clear on is I have no evidence that yet, by the way, that the Trump administration has brought into the fold and deputized people who aren't really federal agents and have been through zero training. Okay, I don't yet have that evidence. If you do, I'd like to hear about it. What I do think I'm seeing is evidence that of either very abbreviated training, and by the way, that's not conjecture. We've heard these agencies say we're waiving the age requirement. We've got an expedited training
No
process.
experience. Yeah, no
well,
experience.
They
no
did that
experience.
in South Park. They were making fun of it because it seems that way.
Yes.
Did you see those guys? They were trying to tackle that one guy and arrest him, and one of the agents dropped his gun.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's another excellent example of something, when you spend months in training in a real academy, weapon retention is a huge part of your training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
When you take that out, when you point it at someone, when your finger goes on the trigger. And it's at least at the FBI Academy, it is ingrained in your head. The only time you take that weapon out is when you're prepared to shoot somebody. And that scenario you just referenced is not a situation.
He pointed it at the onlookers after that.
At the crowd.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what are we to take from, what do I take from this? Again, either, and this could be an and or, either we've got people wholly unqualified with very minimal training who loved the idea of a $50,000 bonus,
Right.
which is being offered at least.
Oh, I know.
Right. Well, it's not an out. We know this. The order has been given, and this is not conjecture either. We've got it from the lips of Donald Trump. Do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Do whatever you need. We've got your back. When that order goes out, and I'll take it a step further. Now, this is my opinion and conjecture. I think this is a deliberate strategy of aggressiveness and violence. I think, based on what I'm seeing on videos, that they've been told, not only are you covered, don't worry about it. Who's gonna open the civil rights investigation for excessive force?
They don't have a civil rights division anymore.
Typically that would be the FBI.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And secondly, please be as scary and intimidating as you can. I want to move then to the related issue of, if you've got a complaint, you videotaped something horrible, you got a complaint you want to file. How do we identify this agent, this alleged agent? I'm about officer safety. If agents are being doxxed, followed home, their families threatened, that's bad. And
But do you believe that? Do you believe that's happening?
I think, I've got some people I'm talking to who say, yes, it has been happening. But here's the thing. So if that's happening in the amount they're saying, then I actually by the way, I'm against agents wearing masks. The FBI, no. We didn't do that unless you were undercover, and that was rare that an undercover agent would show up at an arrest scene or something. But nonetheless, okay, let's give them that, for the sake of argument, let's give them that the dangerous doxing is occurring.
But wait a minute, didn't you guys have to arrest like mafiosa and drug cartels?
Oh yeah, well, on camera often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you weren't wearing a mask.
Well, because you know why? We were doing lawful things.
Right. So that's exactly. You were doing lawful things.
But also, Anita, you can get around that issue. So, okay, we want to protect the agent's face. Okay, I'm against it. But okay, let's give them that for just this argument. Okay, but if you're doing something lawful and you still want a process to occur where there's internal review and even external review of your misconduct on the street, okay, then how about identifying your agency and or your badge number?
Yes.
So that they won't even do that.
Right. So that's the problem I have is your argument about officer safety kind of goes down the tubes when you won't even display your agency or your badge number. So,
and there are people that are taking advantage of this. There are women that have been raped by people posing as ICE officers. People have been robbed by them.
We heard that in LA. Yeah. Yes.
Right. There are all over the country. There are robberies, home invasions occurring where people are pretending to be ICE. Yeah, absolutely.
So they don't care about that. They just care that apparently a couple of them have been doxxed.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Safety of the American people isn't.
Sure. And by the way, I mean, I shouldn't say plenty. I know several protesters that have been showing up at the ICE detention facility who also have been doxxed. I have a friend who has been driving down from Wisconsin to attend the protests and help volunteer at the first aid tent. And she has now started receiving Amazon packages at her home.
Oh,
She
no.
has been followed back and forth between her
Mhm.
home in Wisconsin and the ICE detention facility.
This gets to the question then of practicing good, what we used to call OPSEC, right, in the intelligence community, which is operational security for yourself, for your safety. Because, yeah, I don't know who's doing that doxing, but as for the government, I am increasingly convinced that geofencing will be used, if it hasn't already, to identify your cell phones pinging the towers,
Yep.
facial recognition.
Palantir,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So,
It's just-
and that, Frank, that actually gets to, the question that I had for you the other night. And so for those that were not involved in that call, what are some of the suggestions for people who are out there peacefully protesting when we have those kinds of practices being enabled, our pictures being taken? I mean, I know a lot of people that show up with masks on, that show up, kind of incognito. What are some of the things that you would recommend to people showing up?
Yeah. I can't even believe we're having this conversation in
I know it's
2025,
incredible.
right?
Mhm.
We're talking
Surreal.
about, and to be clear, as you said, we're talking about peaceful, legal exercise of our First Amendment freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. That's what we're talking about, to be clear, so no one misconstrues this conversation. So to simply exercise your freedoms peacefully, we now have to have this discussion about, well, the government's going to come down on me. They're claiming this Antifa thing, where there's no strong evidence that it actually exists as an organized function, despite Kristi Noem. And I want to talk about her statements.
Yeah, let's talk about that after this. Yeah.
Yeah. Remind me.
Too. Yeah.
All right. So geofencing, what does that mean? It means your phone gives a signal, whether it's, you're on the phone or not on the phone. It's emanating a signal that can be tracked, either in real time or post event. Be aware of that. If you're parking near your peaceful protest, your license plate may be taken, photographed. They may be going around. There are vehicles that go around with a license plate reader on the roof. Law enforcement can read your plates. That often, by the way, that technology often has a great legit use to catch fugitives,
Right, criminals,
wanted people. But
Yeah.
the reason we're having this conversation is because I'm concerned it might be used for people who are exercising their constitutional rights. Go with a partner. Let people know where you are. Stay on the edge of a crowd in case things get bad. You can exit quickly. Even social media monitoring. So if you're going to report, if you've got a protest that's being advertised on social media, and you click, what is it, Facebook, that says, I'm interested in going, or I'm signing up online. I would say, no, don't do that. Go, of course, but no, don't give them a record that you're simply trying to exercise your constitutional rights, because they may not like that. So if you're in a lot of these protests, you might want to think about just making friends with a local attorney, right? Okay. Just to say, look, here's my deal. Yeah. I'd like to have you on speed dial if needed.
Right.
If I'm arrested.
Karen's there every day.
Yeah. And what kind of an attorney would I look for?
Well, you need ideally, you'd like somebody who is not only a criminal defense attorney, but ideally has experience with the federal bar, because that's likely where you're going to end up, right?
Okay.
In some federal facility.
Okay. Wow. Jeez. Feels like Russia.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I referenced Kristi Noem and her statements. Why did I do that? In the last couple of days, as we record this, She has made these bizarre statements that something to the effect that Antifa, which again, no proven record that a centralized organization exists of any kind, but she claims that she has that yep, and quote, something like they're more sophisticated, end quote, and then she lists a litany of global international terrorist organizations to include Hezbollah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They said there was like I can't remember the percentage of people in Chicago they say are affiliated with Antifa. Did you hear her say that?
No.
Like
no.
It's hundreds of thousands, apparently.
Oh no, I did not hear that.
Yeah, and then she's going to speak to a girlfriend of the leader of Antifa.
But oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd love to know who this is.
I know.
I would too. You saw the Jesse Waters thing where he had the guy on that said he was he belonged to Antifa, and it turns out that same guy 2 years ago belonged to the Mexican mafia, and before that he was a gang member.
Yeah. Well,
so
I've seen that making the rounds on social media. But I did not see it in its original version. I will say that odds of Jesse Waters being fired or disciplined for using what is allegedly some kind of employee or friend or staffer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are nil. So, again, there's no rules on that side. And they'll be quick to say, oh, Jesse Waters is not a journalist. He's an entertainer. And that's dangerous entertainment. Dangerous.
Yeah.
They wanted Jimmy Kimmel fired. They wanted Jimmy Kimmel fired because he said something that MAGA had been hoping all weekend that it wasn't one of their own. That's all he said. And he's a comedian. Yes. But yet these guys, what are they? Are they entertainment or news? I don't know.
It's whenever it's convenient. Whenever it's needed and convenient, they're entertainers. Yeah.
Right. When they're sued, it's entertainment.
Yeah. So, okay. So where am I going with this Kristi Noem bizarre statement? Perhaps the most bizarre statement yet regarding Antifa being more sophisticated. And then she lists a terrible, evil terrorist organizations. And she also included, I believe, Hamas, which, of course, killed 1,200, took 1,200 hostage. There's over 1,000 dead. And Hezbollah is, let's remember, Hezbollah is state-sponsored by Iran. And has a global reach. And what are you out of your mind? So
yes, they are.
Well, okay, but this is interesting, right? Because there's really only two options. You can say, Frank, she's just not intelligent and she's dumb. And I can't speak to that. I'll set that aside for a moment. I don't know what her SAT scores were, and I don't really care, because what I care about is I think there's more to this than Kristi Noem. I think, especially this week, what we've been seeing sounds to me, again, I don't have any inside information on this. This is my opinion and analysis, that this is a script, that this is playing out from the president. NBC News reported this week, inside sources, multiple reporters at NBC saying, yeah, listen, we've got White House sources saying, and DOD sources, it appears, saying more seriously than ever before, the White House officials are discussing invoking the Insurrection Act. Okay.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but now we've got solid sourcing that, it's gone through standards and legal. What
does that mean exactly?
Well,
what will that mean to like everyday Americans?
Oh my. So if you're in a city, this could go state by state, it could go city by city. And what would it look like? Well, the first thing it would allow a president to do, on his own authority, by the way, is to deploy active duty armed military. And you say, well, wait a minute, don't we kind of have that already? Not like this, we don't. No, we have National Guard. Now, what the closest to this we saw was in Los Angeles, which was allegedly armed Marines ringing the federal building to protect it, as if the federal government can't protect its own building. That was just a gratuitous show of force. What we're talking about here is, imagine that throughout your city. Imagine armed patrols, checkpoints, where are your papers, pulling you over.
Oh my God.
Pulling you over not for speeding, but rather Hey, who are you? License plate, please. Driver's license, please. Curfews, maybe 8 p.m., 10 p.m. And then so at the other end of the spectrum, the most extreme would be literally martial law. We can shoot you if you're dealing drugs, you're breaking into some place. No due process. The easy way to say this is due process would be suspended. So that's under serious discussion now. The NBC's article said, look, no source said that it's imminent, but the rhythm of the discussions and gravity of them has picked up on how to. One White House source said, and I'll paraphrase it because I don't have it in front of me, something like, how it's just in the context of, quote, how do we enact the president's vision, unquote. Whoa, vision for what?
Is it his vision, or is it Stephen Miller?
Or is it Project 2025?
Russ
right?
Boyd. I mean,
So Christine, so in this context, I know as the president says, he's weaving his story. So
Right.
what does Kristi Noem have to do with this? I think it's part of a much larger strategy to convince the American public, or at least those who watch Fox News, that crime's out of control. We're up against this formidable domestic enemy that doesn't exist, but we call it Antifa, and they're as sophisticated as Hezbollah. Well, that'll scare the hell out of you if you believe that nonsense. But it is nonsense.
Right, because it's us. It's us. It's everybody that voted.
Yeah.
It's everybody that gets out and protests. And just hearing you talk about these checkpoints too, and then you couple that with the data collection that went on when Doge went in, getting all of our data, Palantir, Peter Thiel's stuff. So at those checkpoints, then do they just punch you into a database? And if you come up, I have a transgender son who is, by the way, applying for Irish citizenship at this time, because my big fear is that if he tries to board a plane, if he tries, get stopped by anybody, that he could potentially be just grabbed. Like best case scenario, he's told you can't get on this plane, right? Because your identity doesn't match, your biological birth, right?
your gender,
Your gender, you're right. But worst case scenario, my kid gets grabbed and taken.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well, and we all have to be concerned about this. You're right to discuss the potential linkage of data collected under Doge, stories, articles talking about Palantir and how they're going to cut across the entire government. Stories about how once secure information on us and our identifiers is now gone. Not quite sure where it is, and Doge is being pointed to for some of that. So yeah, imagine that federal agent on the street at the checkpoint, you provide your driver's license, registration, and now there's a hit that comes back that says, detained for questioning, call FBI, call ICE, whatever. And what could that hit be for? Hey, everything from this license plate has been seen at a protest, or this person has been found to have social media indicating they're transgender, or speaking out against the government.
wow.
Yeah, and if you think that's far-fetched, look what's happening. The FBI fired, this week we learned the FBI fired someone at new agents training at the academy in Quantico, Virginia, because they had reportedly displayed a pride flag.
Yeah, I heard about that.
In their work cubicle in their previous non-agent assignment at FBI Los Angeles. So they made it all the way from a support professional position to being accepted as an agent trainee at Quantico. And then, boom, oh, sorry, we let you slip through.
Can I ask you something about that kind of purge of people like that, based on this kind of, I guess, a pride flag or whatever their social media footprint is? What kind of risk to national security is this kind of purge of anybody that disagrees with them and only they want like loyalists? people who don't really have any integrity.
Yeah. This morning, as we record this, we also learned of 2 more firings at the FBI. These were 2 agents assigned by the FBI, again, assigned to work on Jack Smith's special counsel team on the Jack Smith investigation of Trump. They did not, there's no allegation, according to the reports, there's no allegation of misconduct, 0. Yeah. In fact, the report says that they're highly regarded, awarded agents. So, of course, can you imagine back when, who the FBI would assign to arguably the most important case in the FBI? Superstar agents, and they've been fired.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah, that guy that was the prosecuting the Abbey terrorists, that Michael Ben-Hari, he was fired, and he was prosecuting the only person that we got out of that Abbey terrorist attack.
Yeah.
So, and also they fired FBI agents because they wouldn't perp walk James Comey, and apparently they were following the rules.
That's right. There's no. I posted this on my Substack and other. The rules are in DOJ and FBI. No perp walks. In fact, federal courts have held that a perp walk, a deliberately planned. You can't help if the media sees you arresting somebody, right. Or I've had situations, in my career when they thought an indictment was imminent and arrest was imminent. So the media would camp out at the property behind the FBI office in the hopes of catching a photo. But I'm talking about the court saying, look, a deliberately organized media circus perp walk actually violates the Fourth Amendment because you have seized this person, and this is not a legitimate exercise of your seizure authority. Okay, so you asked, how does this affect our national security? First of all, the best guess we have right now, and I say guess because we're not being provided accurate numbers, is that the FBI has lost at least 5,000 employees. Now, just to put that in perspective, there are only 14,000 special agents in the FBI, gun and badge special agents. The rest of the now, who knows? It used to be 37,000 employees. And by the way, that's not much. NYPD has
they have a lot. Yeah.
Has that number of sworn officers.
Yeah.
So only 14,000. And now are we down 5,000 agents, support employees? No one knows. But the other thing we know is that the majority of agents who were initially chasing migrants around in support of ICE came from joint terrorism task forces. So that's scary. That's the top priority in the FBI, or at least it was. And some of your finest agents, and now they're chasing migrants around, making administrative arrests.
Tamale sales vendors, workers off of work
people
trucks.
selling,
going shopping at Walmart,
Now we learn, another NBC piece recently, that they're not only coming from JTTFs, but there's child sex crimes.
That's right.
Not being addressed. They're coming from there. You name it.
Drug trafficking, all these other things that they're now just letting go because they've got to deal with.
Yeah. And you can say, well, wait a minute. The director has said that agents can do 2 things at once and keep their caseload and still go out and support. No, that's not how it works. No, that's
you got them. I mean, who was it? What's that guy's name that does transportation? He's also in charge of NASA. So I guess, they don't care how the government works.
No, they want it. It seems to me they want it to not work. And so,
to not work.
We're down significant numbers. I think more's coming because we can't even track the dismissals, firings. And the other thing I'm seeing is lots of retirements. So never before have I seen this many retirement announcements. People, as soon as they become eligible, they're going. And it used to be like, hey, I love my job. Can I get an extension a couple of years beyond retirement? Please? Yeah. Can I? And those were almost always granted if you were a good agent.
What is the state of mind of the rank and file FBI agent? What is the morale like?
If the guy or gal in the next cubicle is being walked out of the building because they worked a January 6th case, Can you imagine what that morale is like? Some of the most respected agents are being walked out, regardless of, whether they were high ranking. Now we're down to the street agent level, and that really impacts morale. And now you're passionate about your caseload and you're being taken off it to do what? Patrol the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all they care about is getting rid of immigrants, brown people.
Well, even if you were to say, well, Frank, come on now, we saw lots of FBI jackets walking the streets in DC. Isn't that a good thing? No, that's not helpful. That's not what the FBI experience and skill sets and tools in the toolbox looks like. That's not that effective. And while Donald Trump may claim there's zero crime in DC, zero.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that's not true, and now we may not see the accurate numbers ever again.
And who wants to live in a police state?
No.
Well, there's that. There's that, and again, this fear strategy of, oh, you couldn't even go out to dinner. Nonsense.
I know.
Right.
It's nonsense, of course.
Oh, come on. And so my point is, what a waste of the kinds of, if you really want to make an impact, on a serious impact, not a temporary blip on the screen. Yes, of course, you come in, make some arrests and announce, hey, we made 1,000 arrests. Oh my God, the streets are safe. They're safe this week. But the FBI is best at enterprise level investigations, taking down entire criminal organizations, wiretaps, undercover agents, informants. That's how you dismantle a violent crime environment in a city. ATF come in, take crates of weapons off the street, not the guy on the street corner, so that you can claim an arrest I found a guy with a gun. There are crates of guns down the street.
Yeah.
And by the way, at the ICE detention facility with these protests, the narrative that they're pushing out there about the protesters is that they have apprehended people with weapons and shown like caches of weapons. They're throwing rocks. They're doing all of these things, which is absolute. I mean, I've had interactions on social media with people about this, and this is the narrative that they're getting. This is what they're being told. Is that there are weapons, there are armed protesters. And how much can you trust coming out of there? I mean, we've got Kash Patel. Look what he did with that Charlie Kirk investigation when he was putting stuff out that just wasn't true. They said that they arrested somebody, they had the suspect, and then they didn't. And then nobody knows what to trust anymore coming out of the FBI.
This is one of the darkest angles we have, for me anyway, is the complete loss of trust in our institutions. And it's not just law enforcement. Look at the Centers for Disease Control. People don't know whether to get their COVID shot or not, whether to vaccinate their kid or not. They think Tylenol causes autism because the president said it does. We've lost it. And I don't know. I can't answer your question. Is it real? Kristi Noem, I saw yesterday a video where she was questioning a guy in custody in a car.
I saw that.
Right?
Yeah.
And the guy allegedly was came in and out of the country 5 times, was here unlawfully, undocumented, and had some charge for inappropriate conduct with a minor. And the guy spoke only Spanish, so there was a Spanish-speaking agent translating for him and for her. I don't know. Is that true?
It seemed rehearsed. A lot of people thought it was rehearsed.
Yeah,
it just seemed so canned. I mean, all of a sudden she walks up to the car and this guy is going to tell her all this stuff.
Well, that's right. And I'm sure she's going to go back to the office and fill out her interrogation report, right?
Oh, sure.
No.
I just don't think that's what you do.
Well, if you like what you're hearing, please consider subscribing to TruBlu Politics Podcast on Patreon. At any level you can, it is so appreciated and so needed. Anita and I would love to be able to increase the frequency of episodes. We would like to upgrade equipment to make these podcasts even higher quality. But, we have day jobs. We can't do this without support from our loyal listeners and our TruBlu crew. Politics podcast subscribers. And at any level, you will get additional content as well as be a part of our TruBlu Crew podcast chat room, where we can interact with you all and hear back. Give us some feedback. Whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, please consider giving us 4 stars, 5 stars, and a review. We love hearing from you, and we couldn't do it without you. So please consider subscribing. Buy me a coffee. Buy Anita a coffee. And keep the fight going. We are living through unprecedented times with attacks on our democracy and our rights. So we want to continue to be voices in the resistance, and along with you, keep fighting the fight against this autocratic regime. Thanks, everybody. We love you. We did, and I don't know, Anita was going to ask about, your experience with Antifa.
With Antifa. And
experience.
How many Antifa members have you encountered over your long career with the FBI?
Oh, let me think. This is going to take a while. None.
None.
Well, apparently,
we want to show you some we've seen.
Yeah,
okay?
Apparently, though, Caroline Levitt has some information about the dangerous
please.
Antifa.
I'll take notes.
Okay, take notes.
Please.
Get ready. Okay, let me see if I can get
President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed, President?
So,
do you recognize
do any of those people look familiar?
One of them looked like Barney the dinosaur, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Yes, we should poke fun at this, and at the same time realize what's happening, which is declaring on a social media post, declaring Antifa a domestic terror organization, and then everybody falling in line with that from the podium. Antifa, Antifa, Antifa. What's happening here is the deliberate vagueness of whatever the hell Antifa is to them. Is beautiful and horrible at the same time. There's a beauty and a horror in something, declaring something so vague and nebulous. A domestic terror organization. Number one, by the way, for the...
It's like the deep state,
Yeah. So what does it allow you to do? First, I want to point out, we have no law against domestic terrorism in the United States. We have no formal mechanism of declaring a domestic terror organization, because we decided as a country we don't want somebody like this president declaring an entire political party domestic terror organization, a news agency, right? But this is where this is headed, and why is it beautiful and horrible? There's a beauty in being able to arrest whoever the hell you want that you don't like, because you've declared this vague kind of thing. Anybody who protests me is a domestic terrorist.
Yep.
And even still, if you're Pam Bondi or Kash Patel and you're looking at this declaration, what can you charge? You charge them for any violence they committed. We already do that. You throw a brick at a police officer, you torch a building,
right, or
a Tesla dealership, you're going to get some serious charges. But guess what? Yeah. They're not going to be something called domestic terrorism, because we have that charge.
So that you cannot charge somebody with domestic terrorism.
No.
Right?
No.
We can, Karen, we were talking about this before, and even the KKK was not labeled a domestic terrorist organization.
No, and obviously, if you have to pick, if you had to pick a place.
Well, I know, but even them, So, because we were looking into that.
Yeah, we were trying to say, how is it possible that you can just say, okay, Antifa's a domestic terror organization, when the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, Boogaloo Boys, 3%ers,
none of these people,
none of them.
Well, so here's, I want to make for the law enforcement nerds out there, or legal nerds, I do want to make a distinction here. So while you can't declare a domestic terror organization, and I don't believe you should be able to, right? Because of what we just talked about, abuse, that. The FBI certainly has they did when I was there. They certainly have a domestic terrorism program, right? So without that declaration of law, they still, and rightfully so, have the ability to target groups that pose a violent threat. We actually have a definition of domestic terrorism on the books in the federal law. It looks a lot like the international terrorism definition, which is the use or threatened use of violence to coerce, intimidate, or threaten a government entity or civilian population for ideological purposes. So basically, it's political violence that's organized and has a purpose. Okay. So that doesn't mean the problem here is that the FBI, given its marching orders from the White House, will now go out and seek Antifa wherever they can find it.
Everybody's
right?
Antifa. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's going to be tremendous pressure to produce stats. How many arrests of Antifa this week? Well, some lady had a sign that said, okay, what?
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I know that. Well, I was just going to say, they shot that minister in the head. I guess he was Antifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, the minister outside of Chicago, right?
Pepper pellet right to the head.
It's awful. And it makes me wonder, someone taking that shot at a civilian
minister.
Yeah. Well,
wearing a clerical collar.
I know several protesters, that I've met over there that I'm actually becoming friends with that took direct fire by these guys with rubber bullets and pepper pellets to their body. You can see the burn marks, where they were shot, direct hits.
Yeah.
For blowing bubbles.
The pastor was a headshot, multiple shots.
A headshot.
Yeah.
And so I'm back to the issue of, okay, you're absolutely trained not to fire at someone's head. I don't care whether it's rubber bullets or pepper spray rounds. Absolutely not. And certainly pepper spray. You can kill someone. You can blind someone.
Yeah.
And so I'm back to my question: Are these people trained at all? Who are they? Or simply have they been given the order from Trump, do whatever you want?
That's it.
Well, my theory is these people are people like from January 6th, they're 3%ers, they're Boogaloo Boys or whatever, Proud Boys.
Allegedly. Yes.
Yeah, allegedly.
I don't have any evidence of that. That would be that if there ever was evidence of that, that should be front page news. And I hope it's not true, but I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
They seem to enjoy what they're doing.
They sure do.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Again, look, I've hung out with, I was one. I was an FBI. I've hung out with ICE and DHS. These people that I worked with respected the Constitution.
Right.
They were highly trained. I speak to some retired folks now, and they're shaking their head. They're ashamed. So who are these people?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
That's why I think they're, they just enjoy it so much. They have to be.
They're the jackboot thugs.
That's what they are.
I know that, we don't want to keep you, too much longer, but we did, have just a couple of questions from our listeners.
Okay.
And then just a couple of very brief, hopefully lighthearted questions. So, this was actually from one of our listeners, and by the way, you answered a lot of the questions that people had already. But this is one that we did not touch on. So this is from Kate, and she says, so not a current event, but for his book Long Haul, does he think the person or people, and this is the highway murders, right?
Long Haul, the hunt for the highway serial killers.
So she asks, do you think that the people will ever get caught? Is there something we can keep an eye out for that may help catch these people, as if we don't already have enough to do?
Oh boy. Well, first, thanks for supporting the book or buying the book or reading the book. Okay, good news, bad news. The FBI has identified 850 women murdered alongside our nation's highways in the past couple of decades. They, in an uncharacteristic fashion, the FBI has come out and made a definitive statement that they believe this is the work of multiple serial killer long haul truckers.
Wow.
They started an initiative called the HSKI, Highway Serial Killings Initiative. Good news. There are at least 25, 30 long-haul truckers that are in prison for multiple homicides. Bad news, when I asked the FBI in research for the book, how many suspects do you have right now in the unsolved killings? The answer was 450. 450.
Wow.
Yeah.
450 people being looked at for serial killings that are long-haul truckers.
Wow.
And by the way, we're looking at a tiny fraction of truckers. The truckers are great family people. They put food on our table. They just want to go home and do their job. So they're great people, but there's a handful of killers, and many, and 450 who the FBI says they look at. So good news, some have been caught. Bad news, many have not. As to what we can do about it, number one, these are trafficked victims by and large, these 850 women, not all of them though. So if you think trafficking's not happening in your town, we don't have a truck stop. I'm here to tell you trafficking's happening. Number two, if you are traveling the highways and you can wait till the next rest stop to stop or get gas or use the bathroom, try your best not to stop at an actual truck stop. Or often you'll see, there's two sides. Trucks, you see the arrow, trucks here, cars there. Yeah, if you just try to avoid that if you can. If you're going, particularly for women, if you're gassing up and you're going to go inside and buy something or use the restroom, don't leave your car there at the pump. First of all, it's annoying. Secondly, finish up, go park in front of a nice lighted front of that convenience store there. Take your keys out of the car when you're gassing up, put them in your pocket. A lot of people go, wait, can you lock your doors while you're gassing up? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Do that. Trust your gut. If you're being followed by a trucker and you think, well, of course I'm being followed. He's going the same place I'm going. Yeah, but every move you make, every stop that you make, I'm talking about that.
Does he pull in with you?
Yeah. Trust your gut, call 911. So lots of that. And then I'm speaking next week at a major juvenile sex trafficking conference in Orlando. And I'm for the first time, I'm speaking with a survivor that has been trafficked to truckers.
Wow. Okay.
He now helps run a resource center for women getting out of the trap of trafficking. So find out in your town or city where the anti-trafficking groups are and the resource centers are, and volunteer, help, give them $10, whatever you can. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's great information and advice as well, if we are suspected of being followed by ICE agents at this point.
Call, you know what? Because you call 911 and you'll get your local police or sheriff and they'll show up.
Well, you don't know who they are. If they're masked and they won't identify themselves.
Yeah, seriously. So, okay. So now another listener, Sandy, was asking, who is your favorite artist?
Artists or music artists?
Don't know. Whatever you want to answer.
I have a feeling that might have to do with my backdrop, which...
What is it?
If you followed me over the last 8 years on TV, you'll see I switch out various triptych art from a local artist in Tucson, Arizona named Diana Medeiros. She's a well-awarded top artist. She focuses on Southwestern art. And I get nothing in return. She actually loans me various works, and that's it. And, sometimes people go, oh, Diana Medeiros. There's her signature. You can check out her gallery website. But she is, in terms of supporting a local artist, which I like to do, she's one of the best in terms of depicting her region of the country.
Okay. And now I have a question. Who is your favorite band of all time?
I am a huge fan of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Me too. Yeah.
I am.
You gonna watch the movie? You gonna go see the movie when it comes
Oh,
out?
heck yeah.
Me too. And the album, Nebraska?
People need to understand that this movie, Deliver Me from Nowhere, is not a lifetime biopic. It's focused entirely on his period of life as he was writing the Nebraska album, which is a particularly dark album and dark time in his life. Yeah. And and Jeremy Allen from The Bear.
Oh, I know. I heard he's amazing. Yeah.
I heard Bruce Springsteen when they were playing some tracks for him from the soundtrack of the movie. He said, "Now, okay, is that me?" And they said, "No, that's Jeremy." So,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's incredible.
That,
They do need to do a movie about Bruce Springsteen, like a biography type. What do they call that? Biographical. Yeah, biographical. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
His autobiography, which is huge and thick, I have read, and it goes in.
I need to read that. Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, he talks about mental health issues. He's not ashamed of that. People go, "Oh man, the guy plays for 3 hours and not stop, no breaks." Yeah, he talks about, well, he has to, and he only finishes when he thinks he's done. And it's, he's very open about some struggles.
Is it OCD or something that he has?
Well, I'm not.
That's what it sounds like. I don't know if he's been diagnosed with that. Is what I'm asking.
But when he feels like he's done and he can go to sleep, then he stops playing. And sometimes that's 3 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever used the phrase, "If I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you"?
Oh, yes, I have. Always in jest, of course.
In jest, okay.
Well, who hasn't? I mean, I've used that on my kids. I could
but
tell
coming
you,
from
but
an
I'd have to
FBI
kill you.
agent.
Yeah, of course.
Coming from
So,
my first book, which was a national bestseller, The FBI Way. Boy, people should. You want to talk about how things should work. That book is about how things should work. The FBI Way. I of course had to get that thoroughly reviewed pre-publication by the FBI.
Yeah.
And there was only one thing where I was kind of stretching it, like, "Hey, how about this? Can I include this story?" And there was one time where they went, "Absolutely not."
You would admit
you could, but we'd have to kill you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what years were you in with the FBI?
It's 25 years, 1987 to 2012. Through 2000.
So you were there like through Waco and after 9/11 and all that stuff. It was pretty intense, I bet.
If you read my book, you'll hear about that.
Okay, I have to read your book. I do. I need to read your book now.
I'm taking notes. Yes.
Did you? So you worked with James Comey, right?
Negative. No, I left. I retired right before Comey came on board. Literally, as Bob Mueller was wrapping up his tenure.
Do you know what do you know about the case? Because I think it's bogus. It doesn't seem to have. There doesn't seem to be any evidence. And
it's weak.
Go ahead. It's very weak.
He's got a good shot at, which is rare. He's got a good shot at a motion to dismiss.
That's what I think. But yeah.
Do you know that they had to go outside of the attorney's office
to get an attorney to work with her?
They got 2 AUSAs from North Carolina.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I suppose, with his retribution tour, I suppose getting, charged early is probably a good thing, right?
Especially with this U.S. attorney who's never tried a case.
Yeah.
And apparently there was an Inspector General's IG report that's already cleared Comey. Yeah. So this is so dumb.
Been there, done that. They found some violations of FBI policy, but they found
by Andrew McCabe, though, right? By Andy McCabe, not by James Comey.
No. With regard to Comey, they did find he may have violated some rules. Yeah, but specifically no crime. So,
but not perjury. Well, they leaked that stuff about Clinton, but then
it's not looking good for any prosecution here. It's weak, and it's not the last time we're going to see an enemy prosecuted. I predict, and I gotta hope I'm wrong, but it's looking like they want to arrest Jack Smith.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard. You should see on social media, they're going after him like crazy.
Yeah.
So last question. Yeah, Frank. So So last question. Okay. Young Frank Figliuzzi dreams about becoming an FBI agent. Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely. First, that's in the first chapter of my book, by the way. Shamelessly promoting my book.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should, yeah.
Yeah, I would do it all again. I was 11 years old when I figured out a little bit about what the FBI was, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. these guys and gals use their brain power to solve crime. And of course, the big TV show at the time, this will age me considerably, was the FBI. And I think it was ABC. And I thought, wow, these guys don't even, in an hour, they solve everything. And I grew up in Southern Connecticut, which was in the New York City media market. So if you turned on the news or read the papers at that time, you were hearing how the FBI took down mob families, right? I was like, I came from a family with a strong sense of justice, that there's right and wrong in the world. And I thought, wow, these people are about justice and right and wrong. And so I wrote a letter at age 11 to the head of the FBI in Connecticut.
Did you really?
And I was like, yeah, I'm 11 years old. What's, how do I become an FBI agent? And he wrote me back. Oh
my.
Yeah.
Do you have that letter still?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's
Oh
incredible.
my gosh. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that with us.
It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just joining us. We again, so grateful. We are so excited that you agreed to do this with us.
Yes,
and
thank you very much.
listen, sending you all the best, you and your family. I know this is a really tough time for you guys as well.
Yeah.
And
well, it is for everyone. Thank you, both of you, for what you do. You guys are a model of engagement that people should be looking at as well. So glad we can stay safe.
thank you. You too.
You too. Thank you, Frank.
Be well. Thanks, Frank.
Have a great day.